It's okay, I guess. Boy, that book sure was a thing. I got nothing. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another episode of Comic Class, the show every single week on this channel where we just geek out about comic books. Glad I got that out of the way. Listen, we all know why we're here. This is something that we have been talking about for months now. Something that many of us have been looking forward to, something that many of us have been dreading. Because you see, a few years back, DC was not doing well. Its sales were down, it was ticking off its fan base, so they had to come in here and they put out their Rebirth. A giant, oversized one-shot for only $2.99, and it addressed the problems with their universe in such a way that it almost felt like an apology. I mean, heck, there are moments in that issue where they actually apologize, where they actually come out and go, we know that this ain't the universe you liked, and it should be the universe you liked. We're gonna go step by step in this one issue and fix all that stuff that you had a problem with. Bam, 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 bam. Done. And by the end of that issue, it had us feeling like the DC Universe was back on track, and it set up a storyline that would play out years in the future, but we were okay with that because DC hadn't been doing giant, massive events. It had been wandering around kind of aimlessly, and now its books were back on track, and its entire universe was heading towards a giant thing. We didn't quite know what it all meant, but we knew it was going to be big and great and crazy, and we all couldn't wait for it. I bring that up because Marvel currently is kind of finding themselves in the same boat. Don't get me wrong, their sales are still beating out DC almost every single month. However, one of the main reasons for that is because they're doing giant, massive events almost every single month, and those books always bring in a bunch of sales, or at least they did, because with Secret Empire, that was their lowest selling event yet, and almost none of the tie-ins actually saw any kind of an increase in sale. In fact, some of them actually saw a decrease in sales. I mean, there were great books that spun out of Secret Empire, such as Secret Warriors, and no one wanted to read it simply because, ooh, Secret Empire, I don't want to touch that thing. That has actually been a trend going on at Marvel for a while now. People have been getting sick of their giant, massive events, and this was the moment where that trick finally kind of started to die off. But there are other problems that people had had with Marvel, but then there were things about Marvel that people had been liking. It wasn't quite like DC, where almost everybody was kind of unified behind, yeah, man, you got Batman, and that's pretty much all you got right now. So Marvel is in a much more delicate situation right now because there's really only one thing that was upsetting fans as a whole, which was just simply the giant events coming in, constantly changing every single thing on a dime, only to lead into another giant massive event that would do the exact same thing. When it came to many other issues, that's where fans seem to be a little bit more divided. A lot of people absolutely loved all their legacy characters. Other people really didn't like the legacy characters. They wanted the old characters back. But then there's other characters out there who like seeing their characters getting darker and more tormented. But then there are other people who's like, what on earth are you doing to these characters that I love? Why on earth is Hawkeye killing the Hulk now? This is horrible. By the way, for anybody who's not been reading comics in a while and just decided to randomly tune into this episode, that actually happened. Sometimes I have to remind myself that some of the things that I'm saying about Marvel actually happen, because when the words actually come out of my mouth, it's insane. But I point out in numerous other videos all the many other problems that people have had with Marvel. However, overall, I have continued to be mostly positive about Marvel. There are definitely problems that they needed to address, such as the massive amount of crossovers and just basically coming in here and destroying a certain character storyline just so that they can force it into being something different, and taking a lot of their older characters down really weird paths that people didn't agree with. However, I think that they're still telling a bunch of really good stories over there, and I do enjoy a lot of the new characters that they've created. I am bringing this up because today, Marvel Legacy, the giant, massive, oversized one-shot that's $5.99, came out, and it is attempting to do for Marvel what the DC Rebirth one-shot did for DC. And I'm just going to go ahead and warn you guys. Throughout the rest of this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts. This is going to be another one of them rambling videos where I just give you every little thought that I had while reading this issue, and I'm going to give you what I think it might mean for the future of Marvel and my opinions on whether or not I believe that this worked and succeeded at doing what they wanted to do. But I am also going to continuously throughout this video compare this one-shot to the DC Rebirth one-shot. But in my defense, can you blame me? I mean, this couldn't be more obvious of a ripoff of the DC Rebirth one-shot. And before you come in here and say, oh, well, you just have a prejudice against Marvel, you must be new here. Because seriously, I have been trying to defend Marvel for the longest freaking time. And I will let you know right now, I am going to have a lot of negative things to say about this, but I didn't hate it. I didn't come out here like, oh, they just completely failed on every level. No, they didn't. They succeeded at some things, I think, maybe, sorta. I'll just let you guys go ahead and know right now. I did not hate this. I did not love this, because my feelings about this one shot is just, well, I read it. That's pretty much it. My one-man show, Aaron reads Marvel Legacy. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Good night. There's a reason why I never became an actor and just started yelling things into a camera on YouTube. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. This thing begins by flashing back to 1 million BC, and it shows us the caveman Avengers of Odin and the Phoenix and Agamotto and Iron Fist from back then and Black Panther from back then and Ghost Rider from back then, and there's this mysterious narrator talking about legacy. I've been thinking about legacy so often. I haven't been able to dream anymore. When did that start? Oh well, doesn't matter. Anywho, I've been thinking about what we're going to leave behind, the next generation, blah 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 blah. You assume that's Odin, but later on it's revealed who it actually was. But it starts off with these caveman Avengers, and Marvel hyped the crap out of the caveman Avengers. They kept talking about, oh, it's gonna be, that's what this all starts with. It goes back then, and it's gonna be this huge thing. Oh, you don't even know. They did like a day-by-day reveal of each member of the caveman Avengers, like they were gonna be the next big thing that everyone was going to talk about. They are almost non-existent in this issue. I'm sorry, Marvel, you have the best hype machine in the industry, but you have to learn how to aim them. Seriously, if you didn't tell me anything about caveman Avengers in this issue, I would pick this up and be like, oh wow, Odin in old times, that's interesting. The Phoenix, what's going on? Oh my gosh, is that Iron Fist? Holy cow, that Ghost Rider is riding a woolly mammoth. That is insane. But because you spent months coming out here going, caveman Avengers, who are the Avengers 1 million BC? Oh my goodness, what are they going to be? And then day by day you went in here and revealed every single member of this team with these silhouettes. And, oh gasp, who's it going to be? Oh man, I can't wait to read about these guys. There's nothing to read about. It opens up with Odin coming in here, trying to pick up the hammer. It's like, oh, I don't know why this hammer won't obey me. He sees the Phoenix. Hey, Phoenix. Hey, Agamotto. Have you seen that monster that we were finding? Yes, I did see that monster we were finding. He's right over there. Ghost Rider is very sad because his woolly mammoth is dead. We don't even see him on the freaking woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth is dead when this thing begins. So then they go, ah, yes, there it is. Run at it to fight it. Don't see any fight. That's the last we get of them in this. And it's like, that's what the months of lead up to this 1 million BC Avengers was? For real? Seriously, I know I shouldn't be this upset about the fact that I didn't get to see caveman Avengers as much, but dear God, you hyped the crap out of these guys. You talked about them so much, and this is one of my problems with Marvel. Your hype machine, your advertising department, are insanely talented. They know exactly how to get people talking. They know exactly how to put stuff in your face, but you use them to hype up like a one-shot or the start of an event, and if you just picked up that energy and focused it at talking about, I don't know, issue 25 of a regular ongoing series, your sales would be doing way better right now because you keep having people hype up brand new series, brand new events. So all the people who are reading books, the moment that they started thinking, should I continue reading this thing? Oh wait, what's this thing over here? Guess I won't be reading this anymore. Hype up the next storyline for those books. Those people are already reading the way you hyped up Caveman Avengers. They'll continue reading these books. That's a whole other argument. I'm just still kind of ticked off. I didn't get to see my Caveman Avengers. Seriously, an episode of Captain Caveman contained more caveman superheroing than this book did. But then goes into Robbie Reyes waking up in South Africa, and he's in his car, and he's like, I have no idea how I got here. And then Starbrand comes down and says, oh, the writer is here now. No, you've been having the dreams too. I can't let you find it. I have killed so many people to keep them from finding this. I was like, hold up, Starbrand has been murdering people? When did this happen? Starbrand, if you didn't read the Jonathan Hickman Avengers book, you probably don't remember who he was, but he was this guy who got chosen to be the defender of the planet, so he basically has the power to destroy worlds. Like, he is a major heavy hitter for Marvel Comics, and they kind of forgot that he existed, mostly because they gave him his own series and it did not sell at all. But he comes in here and he is not acting at all like he did before. He is completely different, and he's talking about how he's been murdering people, and it's like, okay, I would come in here and point at this and be like, see, man, this is what I'm talking about. Stop having your heroes become crazy and just go nuts, or stop having them turn into villains. Stop having them go down these darker paths. You've done that too much. Except, let's be real, nobody cares about Starbrand. No one does. If you're going to have a character go down a darker path and have them go crazy and have them, like, start fighting other heroes, it's best to do it with the heroes nobody really gives a crap about. And I'm sure there's one person out there who's like, no, Starbrand was my favorite thing about the Jonathan Hickman series. Kudos to you. I'm glad you liked him. And I am very sorry for your loss in this issue, and that he is now turned into what Hawkeye turned into Civil War II. I feel your pain. I've been there very recently myself. But, I can't muster any anger over this one. It's like, alright, you want to have him go nuts? Go nuts. Fine, whatever. Nobody really cared about him. Although, again, Marvel, having your heroes just fight other heroes, again, it's another one of your problems. You've been doing it too much. And in this issue, it immediately then starts with Ghost Rider now has to fight this guy. But I'm talking about how Starbrand isn't acting at all the way that he was in the Jonathan Hickman Avengers run. Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes, I love that character. I keep rooting for that guy. I keep wanting to see him get another series that will succeed and be amazing. He is not acting in this issue the way that he acts in his own series at all. Like, he, honestly, if you've been reading his series, he can't even talk when he's in Ghost Rider mode. Like, he is basically the Terminator when he's in Ghost Rider mode. It's just vengeance, vengeance, must find people to punish. And in here, he's pretty much fully 100% in control, I think. Because towards the end of this issue, he then says, "Oh yeah, how about you taste the pin and stare?" And then he comes out Ghost Rider mode, and just goes, "Was that the pin and stare? Since when have I been able to do that?" And it's like, okay, that's an intriguing thing, but why did you say taste the pin and stare if you didn't know you could do the pin and stare? Was that Eli? Was that your crazy evil dead uncle who was a cult member, and he's the evil spirit that's possessing you? Was that him? Because how did he know that he could do that? And also, why was he talking like you all throughout the rest of this issue? It's just odd, simply because, yeah, it didn't match the Robbie Reyes I've ever seen in his own series. Like, it really feels like Jason Aaron, who is a giant Ghost Rider fan, it feels like he read the first couple issues of Robbie Reyes' series, and just went, oh, okay, I know how this kid is. That's good. All right, I don't need to read any more of this. It's like, no, yeah, it didn't really feel like Robbie Reyes in this issue to me. Although, I will say, even though I mentioned that people are sick of the heroes fighting heroes thing, Ghost Rider fighting Starbrand is pretty damn cool. I gotta throw that one out there. Again, apologies to the Starbrand fans who now have to see this guy be insane, but I really honestly didn't care if he went insane. And I do like Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider, so seeing him fight a guy who can destroy planets, that's actually pretty dope. You gotta give me that. I have no negatives to add to that one. That's actually just pretty darn cool. So that's plotline number 1. And I know someone might say, well, isn't the Caveman Avengers plotline number 1? That's plotline number 0. That thing ended there and it went nowhere. Plotline number 1 is them fighting in South Africa. Then plotline number 2 is Loki is getting all these frost giants to go and invade this S.H.I.E.L.D. base that's about to be shut down because after Secret Empire, S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer a thing. So they are then racing into this S.H.I.E.L.D. base to gather this one mystical box. And it's this box that the people at S.H.I.E.L.D. go, yes, some of the most dangerous weapons in the world are here, except for this box. No one knows what's inside. It just appeared here one day and we have no records of it. And it's like, you're S.H.I.E.L.D., shouldn't you have tested that Seems kind of odd, but I don't know. Maybe there's actually a reason towards the end of this in which you could explain why they never thought twice about this thing being there and they forgot that it existed. I'll get into that later. But they break in there, and then Jane Foster Thor and Sam Wilson Captain America go flying in there to save the day, and later on in this, Riri Williams Iron Man comes in there to help fight with them. So it's like, alright, that's the Marvel Trinity. It's Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, and they're in there. And this whole issue is talking about legacy. It's talking about the next generation. It's talking about what we leave behind, what carries on our names. And it's like, okay, that is the thing that Marvel has been trying to do over the past couple of years. They have been trying to introduce legacy characters, that next generation of heroes. And a lot of people have enjoyed that, but a lot of people have wanted to enjoy it, but they've argued that Marvel hasn't exactly done in the best way. And honestly, I love the legacy characters, but I can understand the arguments that people have had that Marvel has not done them in the best way, because typically they just come in here and with some giant massive epic event that comes out of nowhere, they go, that guy's not this anymore, get him out of the way. Now here's this character. It's like, people would be way more open to these legacy characters if you had like a big storyline kind of leading into it that was specifically about that character. Like, if you want Tony Stark to no longer be Iron Man, great. Have his own storyline that builds up to that over the course of a few years that leads up to like his last big epic showdown with the Mandarin or the Ironmonger, Ezekiel Stane. That's the new guy, right? That's the kid, whatever. But basically, something of him going up against his big final foe, and then he's like, that's it, I'm out. Now I'm going to find the next person, and he hands it off to this new young scientist and like, I'm going to train you to be the next one. Or like with Thor and him losing his hammer. That happened in Original Sin that didn't have anything at all to do with Thor. It just, they whispered in his ear and it's like, oh no. And it's like, but this was about Nick Fury, not about Thor. If Thor's going to lose his hammer, have it be a storyline about Thor. But that being said, I love Jane Foster as Thor. And Sam Wilson's Captain America, I have talked numerous times about how much I love Sam Wilson's Captain America. So, at the same time, even though I don't think that Marvel knows exactly the best way to introduce legacy characters, I love the legacy characters. And this whole book is talking about the importance of legacy characters, and then this is the storyline that focuses on the legacy characters. And the first thing that Sam Wilson Captain America does is he goes, yeah, well, this is the last time I'm going to be Captain America, because after this I'm quitting and I'm going back to being the Falcon. I was like, that doesn't seem to go along with the tone of this book at all. That seems kind of odd that you would come in here and point out the fact that you're not going to be a legacy character in the story talking about legacy characters. And then there's a moment in which Jane Foster is talking to Riri, and she says, none of us know how much longer we have in this world. And she's talking about herself because Jane Foster is dying of cancer, and that is going to be leading into the next storyline in Thor. But she's basically turning to the camera going, the old guys could come back any second now. We don't know if any of us are going to be here next year. We have no idea if we're going to remain the legacy characters for these characters. And it's like, dude, you do know what the narrator has been saying this whole time. You do know what the tone of this entire book has been, right? I mean, it's called Marvel Legacy, and halfway through the book, you stop, turn the camera, and go, our legacy characters might be all going away, folks. Like, seriously, Marvel has a ton of legacy characters at the moment. They've got Laura Kinney as Wolverine. They've got Amadeus Cho as the Hulk. They've got Miles Morales Spider-Man. They've got Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. They have so many legacy characters in here. But these three are the only one who really gets a storyline in here. And Sam comes in and goes, yeah, I'm not going to be Cap anymore. Jane is like, I don't know what's going to be. Riri Williams, halfway through this, it then cuts to Mary Jane finding out that someone stole Tony Stark's body. So it's like, okay, he could be coming back, so Riri might be going away. The only legacy character in this entire issue, out of all the legacy characters at Marvel, who really kind of gets some time to shine and really feels like, okay, that's cool, he's a thing, they're going to be focusing on him, is Ghost Rider, and he's the only legacy character who will not be getting a series in Marvel Legacy. In fact, it's the old guy getting a book in Legacy. It's Johnny Blaze coming back in Legacy. Like I said, Marvel had a very weird tightrope that they had to walk with this, because they went, okay, we need to do something for our older fans who have problems with us. But we need to do something for the new fans that let them know all that stuff that they enjoy, like the legacy characters, we're going to still celebrate them. We're still all about that. And I really think they kind of failed on that, because it seemed like what their answer to that was was to have a narrator come in here and go, oh, legacy characters, we care about the legacy characters. Legacy is so important. Legacy, that next generation, that's what we're all about. But then what you actually see in the story is these legacy characters going, we're not really, he's not going to be Cap anymore, so he's not really here. Iron Man, Tony Stark, he might be coming back, so who knows what's happening with Riri. I'm good for now, me, Jane Foster, Thor, because my book is still selling better than the old Thors did. But at the same time, I will admit there's a good chance that old Thor is coming back. So, time to go and compare to DC Rebirth, because with DC Rebirth, there was a very clear thing that they had to say. They knew exactly what fans needed to hear. But in this book, some fans want to hear one thing, some fans want to hear another thing. So they came in here, and I honestly don't think they really pleased any of those fans, because I can't imagine the legacy fans reading this and walking away feeling good. But for the fans out there who wanted to see just the old characters coming back, you don't really get that either in here. I mean, as I mentioned, Falcon is talking about how he's not going to be Captain America anymore, but then it cuts to Steve Rogers in here, and it's like, okay, DC Rebirth, it would occasionally cut to other characters to show how they were changing to match what DC was trying to do. DC was trying to apologize for the mistakes of the New 52 by putting these characters back on the right track. So you would have things like coming to Aquaman proposing to Mira, because it was like, okay, New 52, it forgot the love. It forgot the attachment these characters have. So bam, Aquaman reforming that attachment. You cut to Captain America in here, and it's like, okay, Steve Rogers, we just had bad, nasty Steve Rogers in there for a while. We want to see good Steve Rogers again. We have been looking forward to his return. And what happens? You cut to him in a diner, and he's just sitting there. I don't even know anymore, man. I don't even. That's what it was! You cut to Captain America in here, and it's like, okay, the whole point of DC Rebirth was that it showed these heroes being the characters that they were supposed to be. It said, we know who DC's heroes are. We know what makes them DC's hero. We know the defining thing about these characters. So throughout this issue, we will cut to them going back to being that thing you want. In here, yeah, the Marvel characters, a lot of them have gotten off track, and we need to see them going back on track. And yeah, whenever it cut to them, it was like, what are you doing? Why on earth are you cutting that? That has nothing to do with this storyline. And even when you do cut to them, it's not them being heroes. It's not them being the characters we want them to be. It's just an ad for their next book. And I think that that is the biggest problem with this one-shot. Is that in DC Rebirth, yeah, it was ads for all the new series. However, the way that they fit that in there is that they had Wally West jumping from person to person and talking about all the problems of this universe, and wherever he went, it's almost like he left a little bit of the old universe behind and it slowly started correcting it. So it's as he talked about the problems of this world, he then slowly corrected that world. Every single time that cut to another character, it put this universe back on track and it played into the actual storyline. In this one, it just cuts to other characters in a way that doesn't really tie in to the theme or the story of this book at all, just so it can advertise the stuff coming up. Like I said, that's what happened with Captain America, but then out of nowhere, it just cuts to Deadpool talking about how he killed Phil Coulson, and now S.H.I.E.L.D. wants him, and he's like, this sucks. And it's like, what the hell does that have to do with K-Man Avengers or Starbrand fighting Ghost Rider or whatever the hell the legacy characters are doing fighting the ice giants? That doesn't have to do with anything. And there's a moment there which it just cuts to Norman Osborn trying to break into the Sanctum Sanctorum, or Doctor Strange's headquarters. I'm sorry, I always screw up the name of that. But it cuts to Norman Osborn just trying to break into Doctor Strange's headquarters, and it's like, is the thing he's trying to find in there connected to what's in the crate at the S.H.I.E.L.D. facility? Because it just came out of nowhere what I just saw there. However, this leads me to the end, and we all heard that a character was returning. A big character was going to finally come back. Ooh, man, I can't wait to see who it's going to be. There's so many characters it could be. And it's Wolverine, who is the character that I am most torn about returning. First off, I'll say the big reveal at the end of DC Rebirth when he finds the button, no one knew that was coming. That was totally shocking. But the reveal of Wolverine coming back, this guy gets out of a truck, a beer truck of all things, and it's a tiny hairy guy with a cowboy hat covering his face, and for a whole page he's talking with his cowboy hat covering his face. I'm like, oh hey Logan. Hey everybody, it's Logan. Wolverine, everybody. I mean, no, honestly, is there anybody out there who didn't figure that out immediately? So when you turn the page and the next page, he's then schnicking out those claws. The reveal really didn't have much impact on me simply because, yeah, you accidentally kind of revealed who it was a page before that. But as I said, Wolverine being the one that comes back is the one that I am most kind of torn about because I love Wolverine. Logan is an amazing character. However, I am really enjoying the Laura Kinney Wolverine book right now. I actually think that is a really fun new take on that character and shows a lot of progression for Laura Kinney. However, at the same time, it does not match the old Wolverine book. It is very different. It is very much her own thing, which I have to applaud. I'm glad that she is owning that title, that she is making it her own thing. But I can understand people coming in there and going, yeah, but I want a Wolverine book that matches what I think of when I think of Wolverine. Something a little bit more brutal, something a little bit more cowboyish for lack of better terms. So I can understand how the older Wolverine fans might read the Laura Kinney book and go, it's good, I like Laura Kinney, but it's not what I want from a Wolverine book. However, we have the Old Man Logan book out there. And the Old Man Logan book, listen, when Jeff Lemire was writing it, it was its own thing. But now that Ed Brisson is taking that book over, it's just a Wolverine book. That's all it is. It's Wolverine out there on his motorcycle going across the country line. He even goes to like a diner in the first issue, and he knows the people that work there. And it's like, how long have you been in this universe now? Did you like absorb the memories of old Wolverine in order to know this universe? Because you're just acting like regular Wolverine. I mean, seriously, go and read the Ed Brisson stuff, and then just picture that Wolverine has black hair in there. It's just a Wolverine book at that point. And if you've been reading him in X-Men Gold, he's totally just Wolverine in there. The connection that he has to Kitty Pryde there is the connection that regular Wolverine had to him. The way that he is acting around the school, it's the way that Wolverine would act in the school. It's totally just Wolverine at this point. So even though I'm like, yeah, okay, I like Logan. I'm glad that Logan is back. At the same time, we don't need 3 Wolverines right now. So which one are you going to cancel? Because it might make the most sense to cancel the Old Man Logan one because it's just Wolverine and be too repetitive. But at the same time, the Old Man Logan series is selling better than the X-23 Laura Kinney Wolverine series. But, again, on the other side, the Laura Kinney Wolverine book is still selling well. It's still at issue 25 in the middle 20,000 selling. That's something that most Marvel books can't do past issue 4. So it is indeed a success. So, which of these 2 series are you going to cancel? Because we definitely don't need 3 Wolverines right now. But that leads up to the big reveal at the end in which Logan pops open the case, pulls out what was inside the mystery case. It's an Infinity Stone. That's right. He reveals that the thing everyone was after was an Infinity Stone. And that was the moment when I just let out the biggest sigh. I know there's people out there who are going to be super excited about that. They're going to look at this and go, oh my goodness, the Infinity Gems, oh, they're bringing that back. I wasn't excited at all about this because while some people might be excited they're bringing it back, I just sighed because they never left. The Infinity Gems have been around for years as major plot devices in so many things that Marvel has done. They're not a thing that just exists out of the corner of our imagination anymore, like, oh, maybe it's out there. Yeah, they were destroyed a couple of years ago, and then they kept getting talked about. We kept seeing them pop up in the Doom reality, and then they came back as soon as this new reality was created, and the Guardians are now after them. Even when the Infinity Gems weren't around, people never shut up about the Infinity Gems. They've been talking about them for about 5 years straight now, so when I saw him pull out the Infinity Gem, I just went, we're doing this again? Again? This is the thing that we have all been leading up to. we're going to gather the Infinity Gems again. Why? Why are we doing this? But one thing that I will say is that it then cuts to Gamora out in space, and she goes, our reading has detected that one of the Infinity Gems have finally piled up. And if you've been reading the Jerry Dugan Guardians of the Galaxy series, they have actually set up that team is now searching for the Infinity Gems, and they actually gave them a really good reason why they should be searching for the Infinity Gems. So in a way, I was actually kind of impressed that, oh, I honestly thought Marvel Legacy came out of nowhere. Like, I honestly thought that they just stopped and went, oh my goodness, we have to do something. People are panicking. People think that our sales are down. We gotta do something to get all those old fans back in. But when I saw that, I thought, wow, I'm actually wrong. You actually have been playing this for a long time now. Okay, I'll give it to you. It's kind of like with the current Jean Grey book, which has been about the Phoenix returning for the past 10 issues. And now Marvel has revealed, yeah, the Phoenix actually is returning, and that's going to be a big deal over in the X-Men books. Oh, you've actually been playing this for a while. I'm not used to Marvel actually playing things out. Cool. I will give you that. Kudos to you on that. I will take back some of my critiques about how I think Marvel Legacy just kind of came out of nowhere. You clearly did have this planned out. Like, Marvel actually right before this book came out said that it is phase 3 of a plan that they have been working on forever. And I'm like, shut up, no it isn't. And then when I saw that, I went, okay, I guess you have kind of been working on it for a while. Alright, well, I'll give you that. Speaking of Jean Grey, I just have to throw this out there really quick. We all know that Logan was encased in adamantium. There's a moment in this book in which Jean Grey, the young teenage Jean Grey from the past, goes up to the shrine that they built for his adamantium encased body, sees the adamantium cracked open, and she just says, welcome back. Like, she's so happy to see that he came back, and I was like, if that was old Jean Grey, that would make sense. You're young Jean Grey, you knew him maybe 2 weeks before this happened to him. You don't really have the connection to him. Like, if that was Storm or Kitty Pryde, it would have had a big impact. It just felt very weird that they got the teenage Jean Grey for that, but that's a quick side note. And of course, this all ends by revealing who the narrator was this whole time, and it was Valeria Richards, yes, daughter of the Fantastic Four, and she's still out there in space with Franklin Richards, exploring the universe, and I'm very glad that they acknowledge that they're still out there, that they didn't just ignore those characters, and they did kind of hint, yeah, and we're getting ready to come back. So it's like, alright, that's great, that's so cool, I'm glad to see them come back. Except, here's the thing. I kind of don't want the Fantastic Four to come back. I know that's sacrilege in the comic book community. I know that so many people out there are like, no, they are perfect and they must always be back and they must always be a part of Marvel. And I agree, they are an amazing part of Marvel history. However, remember how I mentioned Marvel had been doing the worst job of just shifting characters aside to bring in new characters? I still believe it should be okay to get rid of older characters so you can lead into the next generation. I still support that idea, and the Fantastic Four is the one team I can actually point to and go, oh my god, they got the perfect swan song. Secret Wars was actually the perfect send-off for the Fantastic Four. You're not going to write a better ending to the Fantastic Four storyline. So if they come back, kind of undoes that. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, what happens when you really decide to one day get rid of the Fantastic Four? You're not going to outdo Secret Wars. So, it does kind of make me a little bit hesitant about the idea of them coming back. But also, people have been talking about the Fantastic Four coming back like they've been gone for a decade now. And it's like, oh, Marvel just hasn't been the same. Oh, Marvel, it's been missing them for so long. They've been gone 2 years. That's not a long period of time, folks. I'm sorry, I know I'm going to come in here and sound heartless, but it's not. Especially when you think about comic books and how quickly they move. 2 years is not a long period of time. Bringing them back now? I don't really think it would have much of an impact. Okay, as I warned you guys, this was going to be one of them rambling videos where I just give you all the thoughts that come to me off the top of my head right after I read the book. But I was so freaking conflicted on this book that I was just going all over the place. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I actually stopped recording from what you had been seeing. I just took a few hours to just sit down and go, what even are my thoughts on this? And after doing that, I've pretty much come to conclusion. I've come to a conclusion on what I think is the biggest problem with this entire issue. So it's time that I start wrapping this all up. But before I tell you what I think is wrong with this book, and I hate even saying those words because it makes it sound like I'm one of those YouTubers who are just always negative about everything in comics. And you guys know that's not true. You know I'm insanely positive about the vast majority of comics out there. And I have been trying to defend so many things at Marvel. But there is indeed something very wrong with this issue. And I will get to that in a second. But before I go into that, there is something positive about this issue. Because as I said, the thing that made Rebirth so special is it wasn't afraid to be an apology letter. It was not afraid to come in here and basically say, we were missing this. We screwed up the DC Universe because we took out these key things that define the DC Universe, and now throughout the course of this issue, we're going to put them all back in here. And I said that Marvel needed to do that with Legacy, except that Marvel was in a much more delicate state, partly because Marvel had both sides of the spectrum upset at them, but for completely different reasons. So it's very hard to apologize to both sides of that spectrum without upsetting both sides even more. I do believe that there is a compromise you could come to. You know, there are certain things like have certain legacy characters return, but keep some, have certain original characters return, but keep some of the legacy characters around. Basically, just come in here and focus on some of the characters who people feel like you kind of screwed up and basically show them redeeming themselves, basically show them coming around and basically saying, okay, I'm not going to be that character anymore. And then, of course, there are some things that both sides basically agreed upon, that they said, yeah, these are things that everyone can come together and say they don't like about Marvel at the moment, such as them just shoving giant events in their face at all times. So I do believe that Marvel was in a much more delicate situation with how they went about the apology that would be Marvel Legacy. But there is one thing that I think that they absolutely got right. And that is, you know, I mentioned I'm kind of torn on the idea of the Fantastic Four returning already. I'm kind of torn on the idea of Logan returning at this particular time. But what's the one thing that both those people, both those characters or groups have in common? Their movie rights are owned by Fox. And one thing that Marvel has been criticized for years now is they've been trying to shove the Fantastic Four and the X-Men aside because Disney does not get along with Fox. So it's always seemed like Disney was trying to get rid of these properties that they did not own the movie rights to. And having this big one-shot that they've been hyping up this much and saying, this is the next start of the next big wave in Marvel, you have to read this, this is incredibly important, everything that you need to know is in this issue. And then the two key points of interest in this book are a Fox-owned character and a Fox-owned team showing back up. Okay, Marvel, that was good. I will totally give you that, because even though I feel weird about them returning at this particular time, it is you stopping and saying, we're not getting rid of the Fox stuff. We're sorry about that. They're here now. So, you know what? That's a big prop. Gotta give you that. But let's now go into what I think is the biggest problem of this, which is, I honestly believe this big thing that they've been hyping up this much, and is supposed to be the next giant wave of Marvel, is the most pointless issue of the year. I mean, not in the vast spectrum of every single issue of every single thing that's come out there, but in terms of all the things that people have said, this is an important issue, this was the least important. This was the most unimportant, unnecessary issue at all. And people have been asking me, okay, well, is it good or is it bad? And I've been like, I don't really know if I can say if it's good or bad. And I kind of realized that's part of the problem, because it really is kind of just nothing. I mean, as I said, you're going in there talking about legacy characters. Legacy, 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 legacy. You don't really focus on any legacy characters except for 3 legacy characters, and one of them is spending the entire time going, I'm not going to be this legacy character anymore. I'm done. This is my last hurrah. And they've been putting him on the covers of so many of the different alternate covers for this book. They've been showing Sam in the Captain America outfit, and it's like, I'm sorry, did you not get the memo? He's not doing this anymore? And don't get me wrong, I've said it numerous times, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I love Sam Wilson as Captain America. I want him to stick around, but he ain't doing it. And no matter what I say, that's not going to change it. So it just seems incredibly, again, pointless to have him in here as Captain America in a book talking about legacy when next week he will not be Captain America anymore. And then you also have Riri and you have Jane in there. But Jane, as I said, she stops, turns to the camera and goes, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this anymore. And Riri, Tony's body goes missing. He might be coming back. So, yeah, it doesn't really focus on those characters. The only legacy character it does focus on, Ghost Rider, is the one who's not getting a book in Legacy. So it was like, okay, well, the legacy aspect of it fails. So I guess that means that this is going to be about championing the old characters. The old characters coming back. And I have had so many customers come into my store like, oh, this is it, right? This is when Steve comes back. This is when Thor becomes Thor again. This is when Tony becomes Iron Man again. No, it's not. It's not that. Not that at all. Bruce Banner isn't in here. Any of those other classic characters you want to think of, they're not in this at all. None. Non-existent. That thing that, like, so many people went into this believing this is entirely what was going to be, it's not. You see Thor Odinson, still unworthy. You see that Tony's body's gone missing, so maybe he's coming back, but he doesn't. So if you pick this up expecting that to happen, it doesn't. As I said, the only older character who is back in here as that older character is Steve Rogers. And when you look over at DC Rebirth, you see all these characters in there, and it's like, oh, they're becoming that thing I wanted to see them be. And what do we get for Steve Rogers in here? Oh, Jesus. Oh. What am I even doing here? He doesn't even grab the shield in here at any point. He's not even in costume in this thing. I'm getting way more use out of that mug than I thought. So yeah, so the people who want the legacy characters, you don't really get that. They never once show any of the legacy characters we know are going to be sticking around. And then the people who want the old characters to come back, they don't. So the only characters who come back are Wolverine and the Fantastic Four, and I know people are going to be saying, well, they come back, that's important. Again, looking over at DC Rebirth, Wally West returned. That was the big thing in that. And it had this big climactic, you thought all hope was lost, and then Wally comes back, oh my goodness. And then when did Wally show up next? Next month, in Titans. And you could follow his adventures every single month, in Titans. Logan has come back. They teased the Fantastic Four coming back. Tell me, top of your head, where are they going to be? If somebody reads this issue and they go, oh man, Logan is back, I can't wait to read about that. Where? Fantastic Four, oh man, when are they going to come back? I don't know. Soon, maybe, kind of. What's your definition of soon? Is it like a year? It might be a year. This was basically just saying, okay, well, they came back, but you can't read about them yet. I've had so many people asking me over and over again, what books from Marvel Legacy are you most excited to read? And whenever anybody asks me that, I never respond because all I can think is, what the hell are you talking about? And I don't mean that as in I'm not excited to read Marvel books. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. Again, I've gotten blue in the face a lot in this video. I will keep saying it, Marvel makes really damn good books. They just don't talk about their really damn good books. They're over there in the far corner that nobody's looking at. But yeah, there's tons of books at Marvel that I'm excited to read about, but you guys keep talking about like, oh, it's the next wave. Have you guys not seen the previews for Marvel Legacy? 3 new books. That's all we're getting, just 3 new books. And one of them is a mini-series apparently. Everything else is completely unchanged. There is nothing different about Marvel Legacy at all, and that was what the big problem with this issue was. Rebirth came in, established every single one of these characters, established who they were, what they were going to become, what they were going to return to being, what their new series would be about. It didn't cover all of them, but it covered the vast majority of them. You still got an idea of what everybody would be. Here, we only really cut away to like 3 or 4 different characters, and it has nothing really to do with the rest of this issue or what they're talking about. Like I said, Deadpool, that had absolutely nothing to do with anything else in this issue at all. It was just they stopped for a page to advertise Deadpool. Okay, fine, but then what about all your other books out there? What are they going to be doing? Same thing they were doing last month. This book changed nothing at all. And the books it did advertise in here, again, it didn't change them. Cap pops up in here for a page, but he didn't pop up here and say, yes, I'm going to be Captain America again. That happened in the Generations Captain America one-shot that just came out. Sam Wilson decided to go back to being a Falcon in the Avengers from 2 weeks ago. None of that was affected by Legacy at all. I mean, I've really been thinking about who this book is for. Is it for all those people out there who have been wanting to get into Marvel because this really isn't a good starting point for anything? Is it for all those people who have been wanting to see a change come to Marvel? Because nothing really changes. If you've been reading the regular Marvel series, you can skip this 100% and the next issue of whatever series you were reading is still going to come out and it's still going to be exactly the same as it was. I really don't see any point to this issue aside from setting up their next big event. And as I mentioned, there are certain things that Marvel is doing that everybody can kind of agree they want Marvel to stop doing it. And Marvel kind of realized that one of those things is they're sick of Marvel's giant events. People were getting sick of their giant events. And they came out and said, we're not doing another giant event for a year and a half. And I've said, hey, I would honestly like it if that was 3 years. A year and a half does not seem like enough time, especially when you only get 12 issues a year. But you know what? Fine, a year and a half, I'll take it. And then in this issue, you got Wolverine picking up an Infinity Gem, then cutting to the Guardians saying, oh, an Infinity Gem is just activated. We have to get down there now and start gathering them all up. It's like, okay. This was not a year and a half till your next event. This is 2 weeks after Secret Empire wrapped up, and you went, start the countdown now. Everything now leading up to our next big event. I don't think you understand what we mean when we say we're sick of the giant events. It doesn't mean we're sick of the actual series itself. We're sick of the lead up to. We're sick of the next wave of books that come after it that have changed everything because of that giant event. It's the whole process that we're tired of. It's honestly like saying, hey man, I've been eating too much. And it's like, okay, well then just take a break. Don't eat anything until dinner time. And then you immediately start cooking dinner. It's like, no, dude, I need a moment to digest. I need a moment to go out and take a jog around the neighborhood, try and work some of this off. I need a moment to just sit down and rest and watch some football. This is just you shoving more in our face over and over and over again. That is the thing that bugged me the most about this, is that it seems like you understand that we're tired of the events, and yet you use this to promote your next giant event. And you have let us know there's going to be a quest to find these gems. That's not going to wait a year and a half. That's going to be stuff happening in all these different books leading up to that giant moment. I know someone's going to say, well, hey, at the end of Rebirth, they advertised their next big event. Yeah, but we weren't sick of that stuff at DC. DC rarely ever did giant events. Marvel, it literally starts new events as soon as the old one ends. Secret Empire just ended. They just started this one. And I can't, for the people out there who are still going to come in here and say, well, the lead up to the event doesn't count as the event. On the back issue of the lenticular covers for Marvel Legacy, after I got done reading this, I put it down and then went, all right, let me check out this lenticular cover. You turn around, it's advertising another event for all the Avengers books. And it says on there, time runs out. This is the beginning of the end. And I was like, that is what you say about an event. You're going to have this giant one-shot that leads into all the other Avengers books all kind of coming together in some giant event that has to do with the history of the Avengers unraveling and unfolding. And it's like, dude, I'm sorry. That's an event right there in our freaking faces. And this entire issue almost felt like, even when it wasn't talking about the Infinity Stones, Infinity Rick Jones is coming, everybody. Even when it wasn't talking about that, it feels like so many of the other things that it was spotlighting here were just kind of lead up to events, and I didn't understand any of them because they didn't give me enough time to understand them. Like, there's that moment when Jarvis is in the mansion and he looks out and he sees that the statue of the original Avengers has changed. I've been reading the Avengers. I don't know what that's about. Did I skip a few issues here? What happened? Did I like stroke out and I lost all my memory of this? So it feels like that's an advertisement for the Avengers books, but I didn't understand what it was about. In Rebirth, when it advertised the other books, it was like, Aquaman is proposing to Mira. I know what's happening in Aquaman. Blue Beetle is connected to magic. I know what's happening in Blue Beetle. That original Superman, he's coming back. I know what's going to be in the Superman books. There's a moment which it just cuts to Black Panther in space and an entire planet is Wakanda. And I was like, I have no clue what that is at all. I don't even understand how to pitch that to people right now. So honestly, in the end, the big problem with this book is that this needed to be the thing that came in here and went, this is what we're establishing for Marvel. There. All the books can go out there and be free and be their own thing. And instead, it came in here, didn't change anything to any books, didn't really provide anything that we had been promised in here, and then it just promotes another giant event. That is what is the problem with this issue. There is no reason to pick this up. And I hate being so grim, but really, unless you were just that desperate to see Logan pop up, even if it means you weren't going to see him in anything else for a while, even if it meant that you had no idea what any of it meant, that's really the only person I can recommend this to. Just anybody who really needed to see original recipe Logan that badly. Everyone else out there, your books are not affected. This isn't saying anything up for your individual issues, just for the entire Marvel universe, but honestly, if you're tired of events, you're not looking forward to that. So I got nothing, guys. This really was kind of a pointless issue. It was oatmeal, like diet oatmeal, so there's not even a lot of calories for your body to consume in there. But yeah, that's it. Sorry to be so grim, but yeah, kind of wore me down. Like I said, typically when I do these rambling videos, I go all the way through. I actually had to stop here and just go, what the heck is this even about? I don't even know what I'm saying. So sorry that this video was so insanely long. But this was an emotional journey over nothing. Yeah! That's the new title. That's the new catchphrase for Marvel. House of Ideas? Nope. Emotional journey over nothing. So thank you guys for tuning in. Wow, speaking of an emotional journey over nothing, I don't even have the energy to finish this thing. You guys know the rules. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Contact me on Twitter at twitter.com/ProfessorThorgy. I'm also on Tumblr and Twitch at Professor Thorgy. And I'm out. I'm done. Woo! See you next time, everybody. I'm just gonna have the title cards pop up here. I don't care if there's some people out there who think that this joke has gotten old. I'm still cracking myself up with it. Captain America, everybody. Captain America.